In the 1930s, Japan's occupation of Korea laid the groundwork for covert military operations. Under the guise of modernization, the Imperial Japanese Army established secret facilities across the peninsula. Historical records show over 200,000 Korean civilians were forcibly mobilized for labor and experiments. These bases, masked as hospitals or research centers, became hubs for inhumane activities. The darkness of colonization hid atrocities that would only surface decades later. Architects designed these facilities with hidden chambers and underground tunnels. Buildings bore signs like Water Purification Unit or Epidemic Prevention Center to mislead locals. Declassified sketches reveal surgical theaters adjacent to prisoner barracks. The most notorious, Unit 731's Korean branches, used this architectural deceit to conduct experiments from 1936 until Japan's 1945 surrender. These blueprints were systematically destroyed post-war. Korean survivors recount being taken during nighttime raids. Soldiers would storm villages, selecting healthy individuals aged 15 to 50. Official documents euphemistically called this special recruitment. At least 3,000 confirmed cases exist of people vanishing near bases like the one in Harbin. Families received no explanations, only silence. Many victims were registered as died of disease in falsified records discovered in the 1980s. Winter brought particularly cruel tests. Prisoners were exposed to sub-zero temperatures, while scientists timed limb discoloration. Declassified reports detail how victims' frozen limbs were then doused in water to study gangrene progression. Of 300 documented cases, none survived. These findings were later used to develop cold-weather gear for Japanese troops invading Siberia. The experiments continued until 1945 at bases near the Korean-Manchurian border. Survivor testimonies describe vivisections performed on conscious victims. Doctors would remove organs to study live physiological reactions, often while taking meticulous notes. These surgeries served dual purposes: biological research and training for junior medics. Recent forensic studies of mass graves near former bases show skeletons with precise incisions matching surgical tools from the era. Some victims survived multiple procedures before succumbing. Biological warfare testing peaked in 1942. Prisoners were injected with anthrax, cholera, and plague strains. Japanese flight logs reveal planes dropped infected fleas over Korean test sites. Autopsy reports show 90% mortality rates within 72 hours of exposure. These experiments aim to create epidemic weapons for use against Allied forces. When the war ended, researchers buried thousands of contaminated bodies in unmarked pits, some still undiscovered today. In 1944, a group of prisoners at a Pyongyang-based facility overpowered guards using smuggled tools. They reached the compound's perimeter before being gunned down. Japanese reports later claimed it was a riot containment drill. Bullet holes found in 2003 during building renovations matched the survivors' accounts. This failed escape attempt led to intensified security measures across all Korean experiment sites. As Allied forces advanced in 1945, Japan initiated Operation Cherry Blossom at night, the systematic destruction of evidence. Soldiers burned documents, executed remaining prisoners, and demolished buildings. Only 10% of records survived, mostly smuggled out by defecting researchers. Satellite thermal imaging in the 1990s revealed distinct burn patterns at 17 suspected Korean sites, confirming the scale of the cover-up. In the 1990s, elderly survivors began sharing testimonies. One man identified his brother's skeleton through a distinctive dental filling matching pre-abduction records. Others showed radiation burns from chemical tests. These accounts forced Japan to acknowledge some crimes in 2002, though full documentation remains classified. Memorials now stand at a few excavated sites, though many locations stay undisclosed by both governments. Today, overgrown fields conceal most burial sites. Ground-penetrating radar has detected anomalies at 23 locations. But excavations require Japanese-Korean cooperation, a diplomatic minefield. Some areas are now schools or apartment complexes, their dark history unknown to residents. A single memorial stele in Seoul lists just 812 confirmed victims' names, a fraction of the estimated 16,000 who perished in Korea's forgotten experiment camps.